Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Veronica. For today's video, we're gonna talk a little drama, but before we get into it, make sure you guys like this video, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're aware of all future videos. Okay guys, so I really thought long and hard on whether or not I was going to do this video, because as a business owner, I obviously don't want people to feel a way of how I speak. I mean, everyone knows I swear. It's never gonna change. And I feel like just because I'm a business owner, you know, I'm not a business owner on this huge scale, like I own Walmart or something, you know. I'm a small business owner. So I still feel like my feelings are valid in this, right? Because if I didn't feel a way about this, then I feel like I would just be like inhuman or something. Like, you know, like I have no feelings, no soul, no nothing, right? But I'm gonna just talk about it because I feel a way and I want to say it. So it came to my attention a few weeks ago that someone was using Melting Memories for their wax business. And when that happened, I felt like, I don't know, at first I was like, oh, whatever, it is what it is, it's not a big deal. But then I'm like, no, wait, but that's me. Like, that represents me and my brand. And it was something I did think about, right? Like, when you're thinking of a name for your company, you want it to have some kind of meaning, right? And for me, I've spoken about it in my videos that the name was chosen based off the fact that, you know, whenever we melt, or sorry, this actually stemmed from my perfume addiction, okay? My perfume addiction. And a lot of my perfumes, as most of yours do, as most of yours are, whenever you use a certain perfume during an occasion, you're creating a memory. So I have this specific perfume from, oh my God, what is it called again? Van Cleef and Arpels. I use that for these Christmas parties all the time. So every time I go back to it, I can only use it during Christmas time because it just takes me back to that moment, right? So you create scent memories, right? So now I'm creating a wax melt company, but you melt the products, you melt the wax melts. So I came with the name Melting Memories because you're melting a scent and you're creating a memory with it. So that was the whole reason I chose it. When I chose my name, I did the due diligence to look up and see if anything was trademarked, to see if any wax melt company was using this name, and not one person was using it. I searched through and through. I made sure to check all the databases to make sure that name was not being used because I didn't want to take someone's idea, right? So maybe I think a year later or something like that, someone in the UK decided to use it, but it's completely different. Like, you know what I mean? Because they're not really, like, you don't hear of them here because they're in the UK and no one's really ordering from the UK and things like that. They decided to use the name afterwards. Now, the reason this one hits me a little more is because this person was in my Facebook group, okay? She was in my Facebook group for 7 months. So you can't tell me that you did not know you joined a group called Melting Memories. And then you decide to take that and run with it. Okay? And the thing is, I didn't trademark my name. So legally, I can't do anything about it. I can't reach out and be like, you took my name, you know? I know there was a lot of drama on YouTube, and there were people she started arguing with because they mentioned something. I'm not even going to talk about it. They can speak on it if they want to. But there was at least 2 people that she got into arguments with on YouTube, like YouTube creators that are friends of mine. And I didn't like seeing that. And it was just this whole thing of like, well, you're being mean and blah, 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 and all this shit. And in my head, I'm just like, really? But you took my name. And then there was a whole thing in my Facebook group, and she started getting at my cousin. She started blocking my customers. And the thing is, she did have an open group And I saw everything. I didn't comment because I just didn't feel like I needed to, you know, ruffle feathers and like add more fuel to the fire, right? So I had customers who were saying things, and they messaged out to me and they're like, oh, she has a group, like check it out. I did say something, and everyone was so polite and so kind to her, and they just said, you know, just be mindful, there is another vendor who has the same name as you, so if you can just think about that for the future, because then people will get confused. And in videos, people started saying, someone was reviewing my wax melt, and I can't remember who it was right now, and I just remember it being like, oh, it's I warmed this scent from Melting Memories, but it's the Canadian one, not the other one. And that gets confusing too, right? So it's like, I don't know. I just know everyone was very kind to her and just, you know, was like, hey, just, you know, just be mindful. And she just took it as something else, and then just started attacking people, started being rude, started saying names, and then started blocking everybody. Okay. I can be petty. I can be very petty, but I'm like, no, just, you know what? Some people have already said something. Don't insert yourself right now. So that's when I started doing some like research and stuff on like the whole trademarking. Y'all, trademarking is not cheap. It is not cheap. Now, I did decide to just leave it at that. Okay? I decided to leave it at that because, you know what? It's a small community. I'm not anyone huge. I'm not like this huge corporate business that's like, you know, all over the world or all over North America or whatever it is, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna trademark anything right now, but if it comes to a point that I have to, I will, right? It's one thing if you're say a baker and you have the same name. It's two different what's the word, like it's two different separate venues, right? One is like cooking, one is wax melts. They're totally different. So I did actually reach out to a lawyer. I reached out to a lawyer, and that's what he said. He's like, generally if you're in the same category, it's one thing, but if you're in separate categories, then you can actually like license it with two separate names. Like you can trademark it as like two different like brandings basically, because that one's cooking and or baking, whatever, and then yours is home fragrance, right? He also said that because I've started my company before everyone else, that legally I would just have to get my start date of my company of when I started it, and if anyone tried to get the name taken, like if they tried to trademark that name and they started after me, I could just take that away from them. That's just what it is. And I find that it is fair. It's fair because I did start it first. To some people it might seem like something like really silly and like what's the big deal, but it's a big deal to me because I've worked so hard creating this fucking company. You know, I've worked so hard to be able to just offer products that is widely available in the States that we just don't have here, you know? And it's a slap in the face to know that she was in my group for 7 fucking months and then had the audacity to say that she didn't know she was in the group. And she would have not taken the name or whatever. I can't even remember, but I know specifically she said that she didn't know she was in the group. You didn't know you joined the group. Okay, cool, whatever. But then the fact that, like, I don't know, then she started changing her name. She changed it to Melting with blah, blah, blah. I'm not even going to mention her name because I don't want to out her like that. I'm sure you guys can figure it out. But she changed her name a few times and whatnot. And now she changed it back to Melting Memories. I just discovered it. I was like on my feed and it just, the group happened to pop up on my feed. So she did change it back to Melting Memories. But yeah, I just wanted to do this video because it just bothered me. It bothered me, And I feel like if you are a company and you work so hard at your craft and then someone fucking does that, it's a fucking slap in the face. That's just what it is. And yeah, I definitely have sworn a few times in here, but I don't care because that's me. That's my personality. I'm never gonna change. And if you feel indifferent for me speaking my opinion as, you know, someone who is an owner of a company, well then I'm sorry, because I'm never going to silence how I feel. I'm not. But this is just so you know, I am Melting Memories. I am Melting Memories from Canada. Canadian company. Very, very, very proud of my company and how it's done and what I've been able to offer. And yeah, other than that, I'm honestly the sweetest person ever. You guys can talk to me. You guys can give me all your feedback. I truly do appreciate it, and I take it very seriously. If there's anything that I can do to do better at my craft, I will. And yeah, the name thing, it's a big thing. It really is, because it's kind of like my identity in a sense of my work. What I would have appreciated was if this person just did their due diligence and just looked up names. You could have named your company whatever you wanted. And even though she's doing it on a smaller scale, I don't give a fuck. It could be tiny, it could be medium, it could be large. You should do your due diligence to see what names are out there. Like, that's the first thing I did before I even started. Even if I was gonna do it on a smaller platform, I would have still done research to see whether or not the name was taken. That's just me, because it's like, why would, that's like me naming myself Teddy Bees or Second and Spruce. You best believe somebody would have said something to me if I ever fucking named my shit that. If I ever had those names, people would speak up. And that's because she has a larger community. You know, she has a larger customer base. So I would have heard from it. I would have heard from it. I would have heard from these people that you shouldn't be using that name. And guess what? If I did and I had no idea about the names, I would change it immediately. Okay? But the thing is, it's the way you go about it and you speak to someone, right? So my customers sent me the messages, they sent me the screenshots of like what they were saying to her and what caused for her to like be rude and delete them, and they were never rude. Never rude, kind, polite, and just saying be mindful. That's it. You know? So, I mean, does nobody do research anymore? Like, does nobody like, does everybody just want to kind of like copy and paste everything now? Like, there's literally no thought process put into it. You're not doing your due diligence with it. It's like, come on, like, really? Anyways, those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts. You guys can let me know how you feel about it, but I'd rather speak my truth than hold it in versus, you know, not saying anything and just kind of like letting it linger on and stuff. But like I said, she did change her name back to it. So if you ever are on YouTube and whatnot, you might hear somebody say Melting Memories or Melting Memories by Canada or Canadian, whatever the fuck. And well, there you have it. It's kind of annoying, but what can you really do? But anyways, I'm gonna just end it here. As always, thank you guys so much for listening to me rant. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to all my social media platforms, which I will link down below. And if you're interested in shopping anything Melting Memories, check out my website, meltingmemories.ca, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.